Hi, I'm Don Burgess, and today I'm going to deconstruct the cinematography of Forrest Gump.
My name's Forrest Gump.
This was Bob coming to us and saying, I got an idea for a shot. And it's all about what happens previous to this shot is it rains and rains and rains. And we had to do little bitty spitting rain and sideways rain, and it just kept raining. And then he says, okay, and then one day they're walking through the jungle and the rain stops and the sun comes out and the butterflies are flying about and it's all very peaceful. And then all hell breaks loose and they get fired upon and everybody hits the ground and they all get tumbling around and bombs go off. And well, how many shots is that, Bob? Once again, it's one shot. It's one shot. If you really look at the shot, you can see us shifting in exposure, changing the contrast in the shot, which needed help, the post-production process, to help that illusion of the sun coming out. You kind of go with what you're given on the day and what time we finally got this shot to happen. Now you always will plot these things out when you have to work outside to know where the sun's going to be when you shoot this particular shot, right? You're trying for this window of opportunity to have the sun be in the right position. And some shots, it's essential that the sun is in a certain position and you have to get it then. And other shots, they're better if you can do it at this time, but you can still make them work. This was something that we had to get right when we did it. The toughest part was literally getting the rain to stop. That was something that the effects guys really struggled with, to shut those valves and get it not to drip in essence and give away the illusion of what's happening. As I recall, my fog and smoke idea of drifting off wasn't as effective as I hoped it would be because the timing of the wind and all that is tough to get right. And by the way, just stopping the rain itself helps that too, because it does, with that heavy of a rain, you're getting diffusion from that also. So the sun comes out. He wanted a very passive camera at that point, so the platform needed to be very stable. So he's riding the dolly, and he's keeping the camera as steady as he possibly can, just lock steady. And then when all hell breaks loose and you get fired upon, he steps off the dolly and chases Gump on the ground, low mode, into the position where he ends up next to Lieutenant Dan. So that created the camera shifted gears of how it's feeling to the audience, like everything else. And then we go into a handheld mode with longer lenses. And you notice we never see the enemy. We're totally connected to Gump's point of view of what is going on, all the craziness that's happening. So the cameras are handheld, bombs are going off, there's a lot of particulate in the air. It becomes difficult to see. There's a great visual effect shot where the machine gunners just disappeared when they're just gone, they just vaporized. And eventually they retreat.
Run, God damn it! Run!
We then go into a very mobile camera, very high speed mobile camera. And we did a lot of this in the film. And you cut a path in the jungle and you create your dolly track. And then when we needed to go faster, Pat Daly, the key grip, designed a trailer behind an ATV that we would actually mount on the dolly track so that we could travel those things as fast as Tom could run. It's a combination of both. But if you look in the background there of Tom running towards the camera, those are mechanical effects. Those are things that went off at the time when we were shooting. So, it's important to, I think, make the Vietnam sequence at this point really be as dramatic as it possibly be and really feel like you are there in the middle of all this.
Roger, strong arm! Be advised, we have incoming from the tree line and point move! Take aim to our field at heart! Misfire!
Now, when it came to the napalm at the very end where he's carrying Bubba out, and clearly they would be absolutely torched, that was a combination of a double pass system where we would shoot the pass with Tom carrying Bubba and running out. And they realized that Bubba is a big boy. And so to actually get him running with Bubba's got wires hanging above him and a traveler that's supporting some of his weight so that Tom can run out of that shot holding him. The actual shot of the napalm is another pass with high-speed cameras and whatnot, and the camera that Tom's in, and it's a composite. So, we actually did blow off a big napalm explosion there to create the the effect, but it's a combination of shots put together to create the illusion that it's all happening at the same time. Famously, this is a sequence that the studio wanted to eliminate and not let us shoot. They just didn't get it. And Bob ended up partnering up with Tom and making this happen just because it was that important to him. I don't think really anybody really understood it till it was all cut together. He came to me and he was explained it as, this is America. This is from one coast to the other. I want it to look like those car commercials you see, and I think Chevy was doing a campaign about America, and so every beautiful road in America. And at the time I had a very good friend who was shooting a lot of car commercials, and so I got him involved in helping find all these locations. And he also ended up shooting second unit and shooting some shots of Tom's, and some of the wider shots is actually Tom's brother running, so they would go off and do that. And we, on the first unit, we had to stay on schedule and keep shooting. We were shooting 6-day weeks, and we would leave on Saturday nights and fly to some state and get up in the morning and shoot Tom running in that particular location, and then get back on the plane and fly back to Beaufort and start the regular week's work on Monday morning. So that's how important it was for Bob to do this sequence and create this idea of America. And this was Forrest trying to sort it all out, figured out what it was all about.
My mom always said, you got to put the past behind you before you can move on. And I think that's what my running was all about.
Fly all these different places and get Tom out and makeup team, and they make him up and we go shoot these shots of him running. But it took a lot of people to kind of find all these pieces and bring back photos and show Bob and say, well, we got this. And he says, I love that. Let's do that. Let's not do that. Okay, we're going there. Here you've got this sequence that is this incredible sequence that means so much to the film. But at the time when you read it, what do you mean the guy runs across country? I mean, that sounds extremely boring. It sounds ridiculous. And why would we ever do that? But, that's the genius of Bob Zemeckis right there.
If I was going somewhere, I was running.
He recorded all of the speech before we started the movie. And I think that helped him kind of time out the length of certain sequences and certain shots, because a lot of it is the narration, in theory, of Tom sitting on this bench. Bob is a very efficient director as far as what shots he needs to tell the story. You're not going to find a better actor than Tom Hanks to show up ready to do the work. So the execution of that is remarkably fast, because they both were very dialed in on what the film was about, what the character is about, and how this will work. So how much of that we actually shot at the bench, I don't remember. I don't think it was all of it, but it was a big chunk of it. Obviously it gives him more opportunities in the cutting room to go to the bench, whenever he needed to. But he's very good about structure, and he's a great writer in his own right, so he's very good about that and really honing it down to the essence of what he really needs from that sequence. So yes, we were there a while because obviously we had to do the feather shot, and that was no simple shot. The wider shots you got to do at a certain time of day, but the closer shots on them, I can fly big pieces of diffusion above them to maintain that light on them and keep them looking at their best in relationship to the backgrounds and the story being told. So I don't remember how long it was, but I don't remember it being all, that long of a time actually executing that part of the film.